From the CBS 19 News Studios, Charlottesville News. First, this is CBS 19 News at 11.
Crisis in Charlottesville. The Unite the Right rally at Emancipation Park. A day being marked by violence as rally organizers clash with protesters. The crowd coming from other cities and states, causing chaos in a city known for being open and inclusive.
Go home and never come back. Take your hatred and take your bigotry.
Dozens of people injured during the rally, some seriously, but the worst of the violence a few blocks away at 4th and Water. A car plowing into a crowd of people walking away from the area, killing one and injuring 19.
And then he slammed on the gas right into people that were in front of another car.
The driver taken into custody by Charlottesville police. And just when it seemed calm was restored in the city, a helicopter goes down in Albemarle County, killing 2 troopers. Now tonight, as the healing process gets underway, there's a warning from the leaders of the KKK that this is just the beginning.
Now we'll never back down.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on what has been a very historic and tragic day here in Charlottesville. I'm Tyler Hawn. We're going to start things out tonight with a car that plowed into a group of pedestrians earlier today, killing a 32-year-old woman. Police have charged a 20-year-old man in connection to that crash. James Alex Fields Jr. is from Ohio. He's charged with second-degree murder, 3 counts of malicious wounding, and 1 count of hit and run. This is the car that was allegedly used in that crash. Officials found it on Monticello Avenue near Blenheim Avenue. That's near the X Park. As you can see from the video, it has substantial damage to the front. CBS 19's Talia Cunningham is live on Water Street right now, where the whole thing unfolded hours ago. Talia, how are things at the scene right now?
Well, Tyler, we do know it's still a very active scene out here on Water Street. You can take a look behind me and see there's still police lights flashing. The forensic unit is still out here investigating. We have learned that 1 person is dead and 19 others were injured when a car mowed through a crowd here on 4th Street and Water Street this afternoon. The whole thing was caught on camera, including the mass hysteria afterwards.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Mass panic in downtown Charlottesville.
Please, people, call 911.
People are concussed. People are bleeding everywhere. They were doing chest compressions on a body.
I can tell you that the injuries are ranging from life-threatening to minor at this point.
1 dead and 19 injured after a dark gray Dodge mowed down a group of protesters on 4th and Water Street.
People let the car in because they thought it was a cop car. So he was slow, and then he slammed on the gas right into people that were in front of another car.
The 3-car crash was a domino effect. The Dodge rammed into the crowd at a high rate of speed.
People on the ground, blood on the ground, chaotic.
The impact created a chain reaction, knocking into 2 other cars, sending multiple people flying through the air.
At least 2 girls got hit and thrown on his hood.
In the video, you can see the Dodge ram into the crowd and quickly reverse, the driver fleeing the scene.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Most people were just in a state of shock. We saw what happened, but to really realize that somebody possibly just died right in front of us.
We had multiple people transported from here. Charlottesville Fire and EMS responded immediately to the scene and began transporting and treating various individuals in the crowd.
Injured individuals were transported to local hospitals, some in neck braces, others laid out on stretchers, and some lie on the ground waiting for help.
And then to see the shoes and the pools of blood on the ground and the debris, I'm still shaking from it right now just thinking about it.
Now, many are calling this a domestic terror attack. We have learned just moments ago that the FBI will be launching a civil rights investigation into this entire incident. Now, we have not learned the victim's name, but we have learned that it was a female, that she was 32 years old. Now, also, UVA Hospital did tweet out that 5 people are still in critical condition and 4 are in care condition. That'll be it for us out here today. Reporting live in Charlottesville, Talia Cunningham, CBS 19 News.
All right, Talia, thank you. And as you just mentioned, they are looking into this as a civil rights investigation. What does that mean? That means the FBI could be looking into the possibility of a hate crime. We will keep you updated on that story as we learn more. In other news, Emancipation Park earlier today, a scene of chaos and destruction. Protesters from both sides clashing in the street and throwing things at one another. But now it looks a little bit different. CBS 19's Dan Schutte has been out on the streets all day. Dan, how is this different than from what we saw earlier today?
Tyler, it's eerily quiet here at Emancipation Park. I mean, you can hear someone drop a water bottle a block and a half away. And I mean, if you know Charlottesville, you know that downtown on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock, that's usually not the case. Let me move out of the way and get a look at what's going on in Emancipation Park. One woman and her dog are here. They're actually cleaning up a little bit after the trash, and there's a lot of water bottles on the ground. If we look down here at the pavement, you can see paint from when they were throwing paint at one another earlier today. There's some other debris from the protest, but police have for the most part moved on. Saw a bunch of police officers driving back. Very quiet scene, eerily quiet here in the streets of downtown Charlottesville tonight. Tyler, back to you.
All right, thank you, Dan. An update for you now. State police made 3 arrests in relation to the Unite the Right rally today. Troopers confirming those numbers about an hour ago. 21-year-old Troy Dunnigan of Chattanooga, Tennessee is charged with disorderly conduct. 21-year-old Jacob Smith from Louisa County charged with assault and battery. 44-year-old James O'Brien from Gainesville, Florida is charged with carrying a concealed handgun. Tonight, state police releasing the names of the 2 troopers who were killed in a helicopter crash. Just before 5 o'clock tonight, a Virginia State Police trooper crashed into a wooded area off of Old Farm Road in Albemarle County. The pilot was 48-year-old Lieutenant H.J. Cullen from Midlothian, and trooper pilot Burke Bates of Quinton died at the scene. No one on the ground was injured. Police say the cause is still under investigation.
They located the wreckage of a helicopter in the woods near a residence off of Old Farm Road. It's at the very end of the roadway. It was fully engulfed. And at this time, we do have 2 confirmed fatalities.
I called for my wife inside to come out and look, and she came out as well. And at that point, we saw the helicopter kind of go into a sort of spinning, tumbling dive, and it went down.
Troopers say Burks would have turned 41 years old tomorrow. Tomorrow was his birthday. Hundreds of alt-right supporters gathered in Emancipation Park hours before the Unite the Right rally was even supposed to start, and it escalated very quickly, leaving some people wondering why the supporters were even there in the first place. Violent clashes between protesters and counter-protesters at Emancipation Park. This man slammed into a news van as alt-right supporters tried to make their way into the park. One of those supporters didn't want to give his name, but says he supports keeping the Lee statue, the main point for this rally.
Has a right to be there, just like everything else. If we can abolish that and erase slavery too. And you know, only 5% of the South owned slaves. My ancestors didn't own slaves. It got nothing to do with that.
As counter-protesters chanted "Nazis go off our streets," others clashed with each other.
As bad as those guys are, that they should be free to say what they wish on public property.
Caesar Suverbi came with a group called the Alt Knights out of North Carolina. He says he doesn't support the alt-right's messages or beliefs, but he is against the removal of the statue.
That Virginia was a southern state during it was part of the Confederacy, and just taking away monuments, as even if people see that they're bad, I wouldn't support that. So
the common theme here was free speech, something organizers with the constitutional militia support, all while staying neutral.
We're getting all the worst of the worst out here today, so we're just here to make sure that the people who aren't associated with those groups are kept safe. And like I said, everybody gets to say what they want to say and get it off their chest, and they can go home safe at the end of the day.
But that free speech and assembly soon became unlawful and was put down by police before the Unite the Right rally was even supposed to start. Counter-protesters also gathered at Justice Park, a few blocks away from Emancipation Park. While the park was set up for peaceful protest, there were also some more aggressive groups there. For one group, their hope is that a peaceful protest would stand above the yelling and violence of the day.
So even though there are people of all views coming by this park and moving through the park, in fact, what we're doing is trying to hold a compassionate energy. We are a divided people, and that those of us who can hold the center need to hold the center.
There were also hundreds of counter-protesters lining the streets. Many were there from several different groups like Black Lives Matter and the Charlottesville Clergy Collective. CBS 19's Bria White has more on that story.
Counter-protesters started the day with lifted voices. That shifted as the day progressed.
Right here in the face of evil, shouting them down, staring them down, trying to figure out why this demonstration is different.
It definitely just feels like a high-stakes, sort of dangerous situation.
From Black Lives Matter, Greater New York. Same.
A large part of the crowd also seemed to be from out of town.
I'm from Atlanta.
There were also plenty of locals.
It's my right to protest.
Here fighting for what they believe in.
Only the power of the people!
I don't need a sign. I just need to show unity that I don't support what's going on behind me.
These counter-protesters gathered in Emancipation Park for many reasons.
I was just trying to see what was going on.
We came to stand with people who were very righteously standing up against, white supremacy.
Many say they feel like today was a win, but there is still much more needed to be done.
What we saw is this is the Trump's America.
Some say they wish Charlottesville was getting recognition for more positive things.
We have been on the map for plenty of other things over the years, but this is a sad day for our city. So hopefully these people will go home, and the people who invited them here, maybe they should leave with them.
I don't believe in racism. I love black people. I love all people.
Love was a word that was readily floating around in a situation that was easily associated with hate.
Love is going to win in the end, for one thing. And it means that this is the broader story. We just have to do that longer, deeper work. It means voting for people who support policies that dismantle white supremacy.
In Charlottesville,
We are right!
Bria White, CBS 19 News.
Police shut down the Unite the Right rally before it officially began, but some counter-protesters weren't happy with how police handled things. Here's Courtney Stewart.
Police declared an unlawful assembly around 11:35 a.m. and cleared Emancipation Park and the surrounding streets. The decision to end the Unite the Right rally came after violence between protesters and counter-protesters. Violence some counter-protesters say police didn't do enough to stop.
What I don't really understand is why the police haven't separated us yet. They failed miserably last night, and they're failing again today.
That's the same question Hawk Newsom asked. As president of the Black Lives Matter of Greater New York, he's been to many rallies and said he's never seen one where police allowed the opposing sides to mix.
The police actually allowed us to square off against each other. Things were thrown, I was hitting my eye with something, there was fights, and the police were standing a block away the entire time. It's almost as if they wanted us to fight each other.
But Virginia State Police spokesperson Corinne Geller defended police efforts and noted that none of the 15 people injured at Emancipation Park were harmed by police.
We're not going to tell people where they have to stand. That's part of the privilege of having the freedom of speech and the freedom of assembly. And we were hoping it would remain peaceful. We were hoping it would not elevate to the level of the violence that you saw with the attacks, throwing of different things. And the protesters on both sides left us with no choice.
Reporting in Charlottesville, Courtney Stewart, CBS 19 News.
Also important to note that Police Chief Al Thomas has the authority to put a curfew in place, but as of now, that has not yet happened. Well, Governor Terry McAuliffe, Charlottesville Mike Signer, and many others condemning the violence on display today. Still to come, the police chief saying what the world saw today is not what the city of Charlottesville is. Jack.
Looking forward to our weather tomorrow. 85 degrees, partly cloudy skies, but there is more rain in the forecast. Find out when after the break.